We have some breaking news coming in at this hour. US President Donald Trump has spoken about the meeting between US delegation and Iranian representatives in Islamabad. On his Truth social, Trump said that the meeting went well and the most points were agreed to, but only the point that really mattered, which is nuclear, was not. US President has declared that the United States Navy will begin the process of blockading any and all ships which are trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "At some point, we will reach an understanding, all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis." But Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying that there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. Now, he further added that he instructed US Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines that the Iranians laid in the straits. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell." This is the latest we're getting at this hour, where US President Donald Trump has spoken about the meeting between the US delegation and Iranian representatives in Islamabad and has also mentioned one of the key sticking points, which is, of course, the Strait of Hormuz. And now in the latest, the US President has declared that the United States Navy will begin the process of blockading any and all ships which are either trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. He has further instructed the US Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. And to discuss more, we're now being joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani on the phone line. Susan, what can you tell us?
Well, Trump is signaling that diplomacy has hit a wall on Iran's nuclear program, and now Washington is using naval power in the Strait of Hormuz to force Tehran to reopen global shipping and back down. Let's see how that will go. So from negotiations to coercion, Washington wants to reopen global shipping immediately while keeping nuclear pressure on Iran. The risk now is miscalculation, one of the most sensitive choke points in global energy markets. Trump claims that Iran's Navy, air defense, and leadership have already been severely weakened. So this blockade that he's talking about is meant to force Iran to reopen the waterway and abandon its nuclear ambitions. Again, extremely unlikely. So the message is economic pressure plus military dominance. And while, it seemed in Islamabad that both sides sort of left this as an open door to what happens next with the negotiations, many believe that it's hard to imagine how fighting won't resume soon.
Absolutely, Susan, and we understand that given that the Strait of Hormuz has been a key sticking point in the negotiations as well, which of course failed to get a breakthrough in Islamabad. And just a few days ago, we heard Donald Trump even signaling towards Iran and the Washington also getting into this joint venture to toll the ships which are going through the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, there are conflicting narratives which are surfacing. Is there more that you're picking up on that front?
Well, it was interesting when J.D. Vance gave a very brief press conference after the Islamabad talks of almost 20 hours. He did not address the Strait of Hormuz, and he didn't answer questions about the Strait of Hormuz to reporters. But I think it's really important to note that right now, when Trump says that, we're focusing on that, I think the international community is going to start exerting pressure on Iran, because at the end of the day, you have to consider the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway. Just because it has close proximity to Iran right now, Iran has managed to do what it has been doing. So it's hard to imagine that, first of all, it's not going to continue to be the sticking point, if not the last issue that ultimately has to be resolved until this war stops. But also, it really is something that might bring the international community together to try to open this waterway, if there's anything that might bring some kind of alliance.
Absolutely, Susan. And of course, the Strait of Hormuz now, it has become this key leverage that Iran has, which it did not even have in the beginning of the conflict before the US and Israel launched the attack on Iran. But for now, of course, we'll have to wait and see how the situation develops from here. But for now, thank you so much, Susan, for joining us on the phone line and getting us more clarity on that front.